when I was coming up, we had to go outside the city. We had to go travel, go out of town, beat down doors.
Like, this was the first time Bill had ever gone on the set. And he said, "Here comes the token dirt boy." And out of my mouth, I said, "F you."
Fans are asking for positive women and, with family and business. And it's like, that's what we bring to the show. And yet still it's like, oh, she's boring.
It's my real story. This is really who I am. I build myself off a dollar and a dream without a man's help, without a basketball player.
Particularly the patriarchal boxes that white cisgender males have defined for us should be how we define ourselves.
That's what they were saying on the street. I didn't say it. That's what they were saying on the street. The streets, the avenues, and the boulevard.
Don't you just love a good theme song? I know I do. Welcome back. You are now tuned into another amazing edition of Sanya on Air. I'm your host, Sanya Hudson Payne. And before we get to anything else, I just need you to do me a favor that costs free $99. Free $99. Do me a favor. Make sure that you subscribe. Sanya on Air streams across every major streaming platform. If you're watching this on YouTube, not only subscribe, but make sure you hit the notification bell. That way, every time I upload an all new celebrity interview, guess who'll be the first ones to know? Did you guess? You'll be the first one to know. So make sure you subscribe and make sure that you hit the notification bell as well. So, this platform, we unpack celebrity pivotal moments and milestones. And I'm always telling you about celebrity conversations, celebrity nuances, luxury lifestyle experiences. But today I have none other than actor Demetrius Grosse. Now, you've seen him, let's say, straight out of Compton, Fear of the Walking Dead, and The Rookie. So he's been all across and on your television screens and also on your movie screens. And he has another amazing film that's in the theaters now. Now, let me tell you something. You have to convince me to go spend my hard-earned coins in these movie theaters. It's just too much. Now, I got a taste of iPick. iPick changed my life. The comfortable seating, you sit back, I just have the waitress come and order my food and my cocktails. So by the time I leave the iPick, I've spent, let's say, a minimum of $100. So you have to convince me to go to the theater. So when we are joined by Demetrius Grosse in just a few short moments, he's going to convince myself and you why you should go to the theaters and spend your hard-earned money for his new film, Sound of Hope, The Story of Possum Trot. Wanted to make sure that I got that name right. So the name of the film is Sound of Hope, The Story of Possum Trot. Now, this looks like it's going to be a tearjerker for me. A whole bunch of compassion, a whole bunch of empathy. I love when I watch something, even when I listen to music, get a reaction out of me. Pull some emotion out of me. Make me feel something. Okay, that's how I know that my hard-earned money was well spent in these high-priced movie theaters. So this film talks about how this black pastor, this black minister, how he convinced his congregation to adopt 77 of the most difficult to place kids in the foster care system. He wanted them to adopt these children. Now, we know when it comes to adoption, especially little black kids, that is a hard narrative that's been so difficult to undo and to reverse. I'm really surprised that Hollywood greenlit this film because it's not salacious at all. It's a compelling drama. It pulls on your heartstrings from what I can gather from the trailer. So he's just going to bring it on home and convince all of us why we should spend our hard-earned money going to the theater to watch The Sound of Hope, the Possum Trot story. So he better be very, very compelling and convincing. So let's just bring him on into the studio so that he can tell you why you should go see his latest film. I'm excited, first of all, to not only see this film, The Sound of Hope, the Possum Trot story, but I need you to convince me and my audience why we need to go see the film, because I've gotten addicted to iPick theaters, and that means I'm spending about $100 in the theater So I want to make sure that my $100 is worth it. So tell us, what is the Story of Hope, the Possum Trot story about?
Sound of Hope, the Story of Possum Trot, is a true story that is about First Lady Donna Martin and Bishop W.C. Martin of Bennett Chapel, which is a small Pentecostal church in East Texas in a town called Possum Trot, where the First Lady and her husband banded together their community, 22 families within their church community, and adopted 77 of the hardest to place children in the foster care arena in their town. And it made national news years ago. They were featured on Oprah Winfrey, on Oprah's show. They were featured on many evangelical TV shows, and the TBN network, etc. But the story really details the hope and also some of the challenges of adopting children, and it exposits many of the issues surrounding the orphan crisis, but also very real, sometimes gritty, but very enlightening perspective. And the people of Bennett Chapel have been so gracious to allow us into their lives and to allow us to tell this story in a very authentic way. The film hit theaters July 4th and is still in AMC theaters across the country right now.
Yeah, I've watched the trailer a few times, and I thought it was already streaming on HBO Max. I thought something was wrong with my account. I called all my friends, like, please check HBO Max because I need to see this movie. But I was quite surprised that a movie of this magnitude, such compassion, such empathy, was greenlit by Hollywood, because we live in an era of salaciousness. How do you feel once you received this script? Did you feel as if, wow, this is something new, or this is a story that's been told time and time again?
Well, this is a very new story. This is it's a true story. So it literally has never been told before, because it is based off of actual events. And this is a movie that's very much so worth your price of admission to the theater. Cinematically, it's beautiful. The acting and the imagery is amazing. It received an A+ cinema score. I think it's like 80-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Roger Ebert reviewed it very well. People are starting to talk about this film. People are moved to tears, and not necessarily tears of sorrow. There are tears of joy that people have expressed that they've experienced in the theater, having experience with this film. I'm very proud to be a part of it. It's the kind of work that I want to do more of. And you're right, Hollywood has a tradition of doing films that are salacious in violence, and just the I won't say the wrong kind of messaging, but messaging that doesn't necessarily elevate society. But this film is different. It has some of the elements of your classic blockbuster in terms of sweet shots and beautiful narrative and amazing acting, but the messaging in the story is very different. And actually, Hollywood didn't really greenlight this movie. It was shot by Josh and Rebecca Weigel of Peachtree Productions, and Angel Studios came aboard to produce and executive produce and distribute it. Colin Cumberbatch was our UPM. He's done a lot of work with 40 Acres and a Mule. And we shot this movie for about 25 days, and now we are here in theaters. I mean, it was a blitz of a shoot, but that was because we were dealing with a lot of locations. We were shooting with lots of children, so there's all kinds of appropriate protocol that needs to take place for that. But we got it done, and we're really proud. We had a great opening weekend, and people are talking about it. We really want to get the word out more so while it's in theaters, because I think that the experience seeing a film this poignant, this powerful, this meaningful, the experience of seeing it in the theater is very different than seeing it at home. And there's no set date to when it'll start streaming. But right now, you can go see it at AMC.
Yeah, I already told my daughter, who is 29, that we definitely have to see this film. There has to be a balance for me. I want to walk away learning something. I want to walk away having a conversation about something. So I'm glad that this film was made. How did you receive the script?
I got the script through a good friend of mine, Bobby Garabedian, and his wife, Elkin Garabedian. We were members of the same church, New Life Bible Church in Christ in Culver City. And, you know, we established a long-term relationship. I've known them for about 10 years. And fast forward to 2021, when I first caught wind of the project, they sent me the script and asked me to audition for it and to start laying down tape. So I started doing improvised sermons to play the bishop, audition some of the scenes, and it was a long process because with production with another actor, and I don't think it was working out. And eventually, after about a week or two of shooting, I got the call that I was going to be a part of the cast, and I got to meet Bishop W.C. Martin and First Lady Donna Martin, and spend some time with them in fellowship and in prayer and in preparation.
Wow.
And, that's how that happened. It was a process. So
they're still alive.
Yeah, they are. They're alive and well, full of vigor. They're still telling their story. You know, Bishop W.C. Martin is still the pastor of Bennett Chapel. The First Lady is an amazing humanitarian, and they have, I think, something like 20 grandkids or something like that.
Wow.
They adopted and they raised, now have grandchildren. So they're still telling their story to this day. And you can go online and see them and get caught up with what they're up to. But they are a very loving couple, a very committed couple, just salt of the earth people who are the kinds of Christians that we can all emulate in terms of their fearless faith with something that is not easy to do. They adopted themselves, I think, something like 6 or 7 children, and then their community of 22 families adopted 77.
Oh my God!
Their legacy is one that we're proud to tell and bring to the screen.
Yeah, that's kind of rare, because when we see these true stories on the big screen, oftentimes the actors don't get an opportunity to talk to the actual people. So how did the Reverend or the Bishop and his wife help you prepare for the role?
I think they prepared me for the walk, to walk the walk of this calling, right? Like there's when you are out in front of a congregation or a community of believers, there's a mantle that you're carrying. They also prepared us by praying for us and pointing us to scripture to stand on during the process. I got to take my family to Possum Trot, the area in East Texas where the story takes place, and get to know some of the children that they raised, to learn some of the personal stories. And I think it was just being able to laugh with them, being able to learn directly from them, where they had confidence in this process, and also where their challenges were and how they overcame it. So I think those personal stories really help imbue authenticity in the storytelling.
Yeah, it seems very, very authentic just by the trailer alone. And what it reminded me of, there's so many themes and so many messages that the audience should take away. But it reminded me that this is an issue that I can't turn away from, that this is something that I have to remember, because the story of adoption, children in foster care, we don't often think about those things, And when I saw the trailer, I honestly had a visceral reaction. And it made me remember that there are still children in foster care who are overlooked, especially when it comes to the Black population of Black kids in foster care.
Yeah.
So once you completed
to say that it's alleged that we only represent 13% of the population. Well, there are 400,000 children currently in the foster care system, and there's over 100,000 that are still waiting to be adopted. And a vast majority of those children are children of color. So those numbers are just disproportionate completely, and they're abysmal and deeply saddening. But it's stories like these that can help propagate change and stir people's hearts to, if they can't adopt, to volunteer. If they can't volunteer, be philanthropic. If they can't be philanthropic, they can encourage others who they know who are looking to have a family to maybe take on this responsibility. It also encourages us to look not to what we don't have to do what we can do, but to own and to champion what we do have to do what is what may be unpopular or may seem not easy. This was a rural church community. They weren't exorbitantly wealthy. They had humble means, but they banded together their community and galvanized their faith to do this. So it's an example. And the film is never really preachy, though. That's the thing. The film it runs like a narrative, like a story, and you're with it moment to moment. The times that I've seen the screenings, the audiences are locked in. People aren't getting up and going to the restroom or, not even coughing or sneezing. People are all the way zones locked into the movie. And it's a very, the time I saw it last week, people started clapping in the theater. Applauding like they were watching a theater, watching a stage play. So it's an experience that you want to have in the theater for sure, and it's so good, it's so refreshing. It's the kind of film that you can see with your daughter, you can see with your sons, you can see with a friend. It's PG-13, which is great. There's no gratuitous violence. Although we don't shy away from some of the ills and the traumas that the children experience, some of the psychological trauma and some of the environmental trauma that's involved in this orphan crisis in this foster care system.
I'm glad. I have like two pressing questions, but I'm trying to see which one I want to ask first, because you did mention what the audience will leave with and what resonated with them and the reaction that you saw the audience have as they were watching the film. What teachable moments or what resonated with you as an actor, speaking the lines? Because I don't want you to just be a salesman and just trying to tell us to watch the film. What resonated with you?
I think what resonated with me was believing that what I have to bring to the collective is enough, and that where my weakness is, God's strength is made perfect. Or where I lack, He can supply. I was very intimidated originally at doing some of these sermons. The sermon I think in the film we only see like 2 sermons, but I think there were like 3. 3.5, because there was another sermon that we did out in front of the trucks when we find Terry, played by Deanna Bobnikova. She's the girl that we focus the story. We focus a lot of the story around. So there was a lot of sermons that, I've never been a preacher before, but I've been to some church. So I've always looked at pastors and preachers as like,
yeah, you don't play around with that
over there. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't want to play around with it. But what I got from the bishop himself was just to trust God, to show up, to do the work that faith without works is dead, to just operate from a space of confidence in him, confidence in God, and confidence in the ability that he's given me, confidence in my gift. And that directly translates thematically to what they did to adopt these children and to, even with limited resources, to have these wonderful outcomes. One of the kids is Josh Martin has a company called World. He's an entrepreneur. Terry is now a manager of 3 retail stores, and Mercedes is these are just children who we highlight in the film, who in real life have gone on to do amazing things. Mercedes is an office manager. They all did so well and are doing so well. So I think for me, it inspired me that what I have, my gift, my work ethic, my process is enough. And when I marry that to a faith, when I marry that to prayer and good energy and positive thinking, that it's possible and anything is possible. That's what I got from it personally. Because I was very intimidated at first playing a Pentecostal Baptist preacher.
Yeah, that's very intimidating.
With no comment either. Like I had to really dial in and play it from a real place of admonition and respect and appreciation. And so it was a powerful process. I think I grew as an artist. I grew in an understanding of what the power is of what we do in film and journalism, creative media. I learned a lot.
Yeah. I think this film really has the capacity to get people to think, to reimagine what the adoption process, the foster care system looks like and what it can become. So I'm glad that you mentioned the success stories of the children who were adopted through the foster care system. Because, when we talk about adoption and kids who aren't ours, we always often think about, oh no, that's just a headache. That's a problem. That's not my child. I don't know what type of baggage I'm going to receive. So I'm glad that you spoke about the success of the adoption system. And I'm also glad another thing that this film does is, usually when we talk about the church, it's always in a negative light. We talk about the molestations that's happening in church. I'm glad that this film is showing something, like I said, compassionate about the church. The great thing that this pastor or the bishop and his wife has done with his congregation. So I'm glad that this film showcases that. So you said it's in theaters now, and when does it leave theaters so that we can make sure that we're going to watch it?
Well, it's going to be in theaters as long as there's interest. We had a great opening weekend last weekend. I think we grossed something like 6 or 7 million, and it's in over 2,200 theaters nationwide, and AMC's and in Regencies, I think. And you can Google showtimes for Sound of Hope, the Story of Possum Trot, but it's in over 2,000 theaters nationwide. It'll most likely, I can't say how long it'll be in theaters. I don't think we know that yet, but I'm sure as long as there's strong interest and people are going to the theater to see it, it'll stay there. We are in the summer, so it's a big time for movies, because it's hot most places in the country, and people like to go in and cool out with their boo thing and check out a good movie. But this is as much of a boo thing movie as it is a family-friendly movie. But at the end of the day, there are some really poignant messages that come across in the film, and it's a wake-up call to believers, and not even just to believers. I think this movie plays really well to secular audiences because it's just a well-told story and a beautiful film to watch.
Yeah, it's a definite human interest story, no matter what your background is and where you come from. It's always good to know that you can adopt. You can help some child who's in a foster care system. I think that we have a responsibility to give back in some capacity. So I'm really, really glad that a movie of this magnitude was made, and I'm definitely going to be watching it. Another question I have for you is, the title of this film is called The Sound of Hope. What does The Sound of Hope sound like or look like for you?
That's a great question, Sanya. I think The Sound of Hope, and I thought about this. For me, The Sound of Hope was actually, it was silence. There's, I don't want to spoil the ending, but there's a moment in the end of the film, I think it's the last scene of the movie, where you feel the hope in Bishop W.C. Martin, and you see it, but you don't actually hear it. And it was the moment where I realized, almost like that still small voice, like scripture talks about the still small voice of God. And it's a little oxymoronic, it's a little paradoxical, but to me, it's that silent peace where you can almost hear the silence, but it's peaceful. And it's and one is inspired to do something, or that they've done a job well done. Those feelings after you've worked hard at something, after you've laid it all out on the line. Oftentimes, there's not a lot of words. There's just that quiet sense of accomplishment and of purpose. And so we see Bishop Martin in the last scene. There's no dialogue, it's very brief, but that to me, that still small voice, that silence of accomplishment and being purposeful and doing the right thing, that is the sound of hope.
Yes. Everything I've gathered from what you've said, once again, it confirms that when I go watch this movie and when everyone goes to watch this film, they're going to feel something. They're going to walk away with something on their minds that needs to be unpacked via a conversation or through their action. That's what we need in this culture. We need something that's going to motivate us. We need something that's going to reshape our narratives, something that's going to add to our excellence. And I'm telling you, based on this trailer, this film is it. And I'll definitely be watching.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today and asking me on the show. I hope people get to see it. Sound of Hope, the Story of Possum Trot is in theaters right now. And I hope people are changed and moved by watching this amazing story.
Yes. So we see your name, Demetrius Grosse, but is that your Instagram handle as well? And your screen flipped to the side. So uh-oh, what happened? I'm telling you, until we get Demetrius back, you all have to definitely watch this film. I'm compelled to go to the theaters and pay my money and watch this film because, like I said, I'm just a woman of a particular age and I'm looking for nourishment for my soul. I'm looking to have conversations with my colleagues and with my peers and with my friends and with my associates about high stakes opportunities, high stakes conversations. And based upon the trailer, I've only watched the trailer about 11 times, mind you, because I was like, I want more. The trailer alone, it spoke volumes to me. It addressed a problem or an issue. I wouldn't call it a problem. It addressed an issue that I don't think is landing too well. Because when we talk about the foster care system, when we talk about adopting Black kids, it's always, I don't know what that child is going to bring into my home, and I'm a little bit fearful. And that's warranted. That's okay for you to feel that way. But when it comes to us, don't we deserve the risk? Let me tell you something that I learned in doing this research. Where's my notes? I learned that in the United States of this here America, Black children comprise 23% of all children in foster care in 2019, and also 22% of all children waiting for adoption at the end of 2019. That data right there just confirmed to me that there are so many Black children in foster care who deserves your attention. So I want you to look at the data of foster care children being adopted. Watch this film so that you can understand that this is a real thing. This is a real issue. And it really is going to take a collective responsibility, collective action for us to address this. So Demetrius, I'm glad that you're back. Can you hear me? You're a little pixelated now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There you go. So before all of this happens, I said, your name is Demetrius Grosse, but what's your Instagram handle, just in case people want to follow you? Is it the same?
It's exactly the same. It's at Demetrius Grosse. I don't have any cool monikers or like, street names and everything. I keep it simple.
Good. So what else can we expect from you? Because you're an amazing actor. And before you joined us, I was just telling my audience some of your acting credits. But what is next for Demetrius Grosse?
I'm a member of the MCU now, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm in Wonder Man. That's going to be co-starring Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Ben Kingsley, Ed Harris, Bob Odenkirk, Lauren Grazer, Josh Gad, some of the cast that are involved in that project. It's directed by Daniel Destin Creighton, and written by Andrew Guest. And we are going to be on Disney Plus's or Marvel's activation of Spotlight through Disney Plus next year. So I'll be playing Eric Williams, aka Eric Williams.
Wow! So you said Wonder Man?
Wonder Man, right? Most people are familiar with Wonder Woman. I never heard of it either. But apparently, Wonder Man is from like the 70s. It was from the original IP, and it was, I think, before Wonder Woman. But Wonder Woman, of course, is what we all know. But there is a Wonder Man that Marvel is very excited about. We're all very excited about bringing. So
I never knew that there was a such thing as Wonder Man, because as a kid, you could not tell me that I wasn't Wonder Woman.
That's right. Yeah.
So to know that there was something before that, just something for the men, I'm here for it. So I'll definitely be tuned into your page just to see when Wonder Man launches and all of the amazing projects that you will continue to bless.
Also, keep your ears peeled because I got some music coming up. Over the years, I've been rolling with some musicians and I've been making some records. So I'll be having a single coming out soon called To the Glory. And it's going to be good. Yeah, people who are hearing some of the early tracks are really giving me positive feedback. So I'm excited to share that too.
So the name of the song is called, what, To the Glory? Is that a gospel song?
It's infused with spirituality, consciousness. I don't know if I can call it gospel, but there's ministry in the song.
I love it. And we need that too, because like I said, with the salaciousness in every single genre, I just want to get back to feel good music, music that's thought provoking, music that I can now tell my daughter and her friends, I need you to tune into this because it's something different than what's being offered to you. So, continue blessings, Demetrius. Continue being excellent. Continue giving us great examples of what we can become and what we should surround ourselves with and the type of conversations that we should be having. Thank you so much for blessing Sanya on air once again.
Thank you for having me, Sanya. And you as well. Continue to be the vanguard in journalism that you are. Your podcast is amazing. Continue, sister. We see you and we appreciate you. We appreciate your voice.
Thank you. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So there you have it. Demetrius Grosse. Please go watch this film, this movie, because like I said, there's just too much salaciousness going out there. You have no idea the conversations that I have on a daily basis about the low-hanging fruit that is presented to us. I want more. I want more. I like crab leg. I like things. I like things that have substance. But what we are continuing to be fed, it's not filling us up. It's not filling us up at all. So make sure that you head to AMC theaters, because like Demetrius said, as long as we continue to flood the movie theaters, that is how long this will stay in theaters before it goes to streaming. Yeah, I want to see it on streaming too because I'm paying for the service. But when there are projects that I firmly believe in, and I know that another project won't get made unless we support, I'll invest. I'll spend my money. Because at the end of the day, guess what trumps everything according to Hollywood, according to the music industry? It's the money. It's the dinero. It's the dollar bill, y'all. So we have to make sure that our presence is felt, unfortunately, by the dollar signs, the number of tickets that we purchase. So make sure you go to theaters to see The Sound of Hope, The Story of Possum Trot. And like I told Demetrius, I'm so glad that we're not talking about, a pastor, a bishop, a minister who is molesting children, raping children, just doing inappropriate things. I'm glad to see that a black bishop, true story,
This is Sanya on
has asked 22 families in his congregation in Texas to adopt 77 hard-to-place kids in foster care. And guess what? His mission was accomplished. So there is absolutely nothing that we can't do when we band together. So make sure you follow Demetrius, and make sure you also go check out his film. And you see, subscribe, and make sure that you stay tuned in for another amazing edition of Sanya on Air, where I unpack celebrity pivotal moments and milestones. Smooches.